Okay. My apologies for abruptly stopping the video. Wasn't to act this time. It's because I had to use the bathroom. That was simply just. Now, continue talking about this. Now, the main crux of the story is basically over the character Ulysses, a character who only appears in this event. Like before this event and afterwards, he never appeared. And he's the reason for this story. One thing at least got praise for this story over Civil War One. Bendis is better at writing something like this than Mark Millar. Yes, nothing against Mark Millar as a writer, but a big event like this, Bendis does an absolute great job with this. Now, unlike the original event, which had the awfulness that was the Superhuman Registration Act, a law that was never explained exactly what the heck the damn thing says. I don't think even Mark Millar basically. Of course, he took a lot of flack for that story. Bendis didn't take any flack for this story, surprisingly. No, because this was also the last event he did for Marvel before he jumped over to DC. Yep. Now, here's the thing. He writes Iron Man to be a lot better character than he was in Civil War 1. Now, are there references to Civil War 1 in here? Very mild ones at best. One thing, Cap and Iron Man on the same page. Which, that's something clear that didn't happen in Civil War 1. Nope. And Carol is basically written to be, well, I'd say she's written a lot better as the one who supports this basic stuff with Ulysses, while Iron Man is against it. Now, this, I think that Bendis does a lot better job with this than Mark Millar, because he wrote originally Steve and Tony to be complete douchebags about what they did. And where they were to be completely out of character. And I know Mark Millar himself took a lot of flack for the way Captain America was written in that story, where he was written to be like the ultimate Captain America. This book, no, Captain America was not written to be like the ultimate Captain America. He was written how he was currently. The one where Captain America was retconned to be a Hydra agent, though that later got undone where this was an imposter. Oh, by the way, the current writer of the Captain America book actually finally killed off the guy. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he got killed off by being burned to death. Which, thank you, Ty Kaneki, I think it's pronounced the guy's name. Yeah, thank you for killing that character off. A character no one wanted to stay around, but yet Marvel didn't want to kill him off for some reason. Yep. Now, aside from he had the death of the Hulk and War Machine, who actually had the start of this, and the Jester, here's the thing. Also, he has the death of the Red Ghost. 3 out of 4 of these deaths would actually be undone. The War Machine's death, I will explain more later. Thing starts out basically with She-Hulk. Yes, She-Hulk. Defending the Jester for, get this, talking to his colleagues. And I agree with her. Arresting a guy for talking to his old friends? Seriously, were these guys planning a crime? No. They were just reminiscing. And She-Hulk easily points out, though, since when is talking a crime? And the guy was pronounced guilty. Then he was later revealed to be shanked in prison. In the same issue. No joke. There's also the same issue they revealed that Doc Samson was alive. Yes. No idea how the heck he was resurrected. Yes. The second time Bendis has done this. Last time was when he brought back, now I mentioned this before I had to briefly start the video, was the fact that he last did what he did with Christopher Summers, aka Cornstar, in the Trial of Jean Grey, where here's Cornstar, alive and well, despite the fact he was killed up at Brubaker during the awesomeness that was the riots involved the Sheer Empire. Yeah, he got killed by his own son, and yet here he is, alive and well. Though this was later explained in the pages of Cyclops, where that got explanation for that resurrection. This resurrection they were explained in Immortal Hulk. Now, you would explain this 2 years later. I mean, at least Cyclops didn't wait too long. They waited almost immediately. That waited 2 freaking years to explain his damn resurrection. Yep, so Oh yeah, by the way, Carol is the head of Alpha Flight at this point. She's been head of Alpha Flight since the Secret Wars. Now she basically stepped down from Alpha Flight when Kelly Thompson took over the book. I think just a couple years ago. I think it was. Yeah, it was probably her just doing a different thing with Carol Danvers. Now I know this is one of the stories people tend to point to, like of Carol written be so terrible. This event, kind of, yes, but at least the fact she's being reasonable. Yeah. Now, one thing that... Now, I should point out, though, there were a lot of characters in this book I mean, some of the characters who are big-name characters were in this event who actually were in Civil War 1. There were some of the characters who were in Civil War 1 who were not in this event in particular. One of those characters is the Punisher. I think he plays a minor role in one of the tie-ins, but in the main event, he is nowhere to be seen. Yeah, unlike the original event, which had a lot of deaths, like, aside from now here's the thing, the 4 people who died, which were the Jester, the Hulk, War Machine, and the Red Ghost. These 4 are the only deaths in this whole storyline. Yeah, the only 4. 3 of whom were handled in the main miniseries. Red Ghost was actually killed off in a tie-in. And aside from these 4 deaths, no one else died. Shockingly. Unlike the original event, which caused the death of several characters. More than 4. There was probably about 10 to 12 people got killed off in that story. The biggest one happened being frickin' Goliath. Bill Foster. His nephew took over the role. Now, anybody see this cover probably like, oh crap, does this look like the same cover from one of the covers from Civil War 1? We have 2 sides fighting each other? Yeah. Now, you're probably thinking, they're like, okay, is that Gamora or is that She-Hulk? That's She-Hulk. Yeah, she's on basically, well, Carol's side in the story. Now, Ulysses basically predicted this Celestial pop up out of nowhere, and everybody basically takes her on now. Now, here's something interesting, though, that this event does over the original event. We actually have the Inhumans. Yes, the Inhumans be involved in this because, well, they were receiving their very negatively received big push. Yes, people hated this push that the Humans got. Because Marvel couldn't use the X-Men, so push the Inhumans be a new X-Men. By the way, Ulysses is an Inhuman. Yep, so of course, Carol and Tony disagree exactly what happened. Now, here's the thing. War Machine got killed out by frickin' Thanos at the start of this event. Yes, at the start. And basically, when the Guardians found out about this, it's found in their tie-in. Yes, in their tie-in. Believe it or not. Yep. Yeah, it seems like a lot of big plot points were basically explaining tie-ins. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm thinking, like, why the heck is Thanos even here? Like, okay. Now, I think the reason why he was here was because an Infinity Stone was on Earth. In Project Pegasus, of all places. I'm like, Project Pegasus? Yeah, I think this was the first time that Project Pegasus has been brought up in Marvel Comics since Dan Nam and Andy Lenz went for Nova. My only guess is the reason why they brought it in was because it had previously appeared in the first Avengers movie. This came out 4 years after the first Avengers movie came out. Yep. So, yeah. Now, the one thing that I criticize about this event is Spider-Man's involvement. He's there for about 50% of the story. He's there from the start, and then he disappears after issue like 4 or 5. As far as I know, there is no reason for this at all. It's not even explained in the tie-in of exactly why he disappeared. He just not there for some reason. I mean, aside from getting some dialogue, which I appreciate Bendis writing dialogue for him, he does nothing in this event. Spider-Man, one of the big Marvel characters, and he does nothing. Yes. Also, why kill off the Hulk for? Like, here's the thing. Bendis retconned something. Now, 2 things he retconned something related to Greg Pak. Yes, Greg Pak was the one who killed off Doc Samson in World War Hulks. Now, in the case of the Hulk, this was another thing he retconned Greg Pak did, where Greg Pak revealed that Bruce Banner had no gamma radiation in his body. None. None whatsoever. And Bendis retconned, oh yeah, he still has gamma radiation in his body, despite the fact that completely contradicts what was established in Totally Awesome Hulk. Also, he decided apparently off screen to make an error specifically to kill him, and Hawkeye killed him. In issue 2. Yep, the issue that drew a high number of sales. Yeah, I'm not kidding about that. It drew like, let me look up and see exactly how much it was. Because this was shocking to say the least. Like, at the time this came out, this actually rebirth in the sales for like 1 month. Let's see if I can find it here. There it is. Let's see. Yeah, here's basically how many issues that... issue 1 sold a lot. Like... It was second best comic that behind DC. Issue 1 sold 362,000 copies. 2 was like 148. The lowest selling book was actually issue 8 at 106,000. Yep. Yeah, basically this event actually drew pretty well for Marvel financially. It's just shocking, though, the fact that 1 year later we had the stupidness that was Secret Empire. An event no one wanted. And had a build-up no one was caring about. Yep. Now, in case you're curious, though, is there any actual fighting between hero versus hero in the story? That doesn't happen to issue 5, when Spider-Man's already out of the story. Yes, I'm kind of like, okay, you threw Spider-Man's story and you take him out for some reason, Bendis? Yeah, as far as I can tell, there's no explained reason for this at all. Yeah, and then, of course, we have to draw it away from the Hulk to Miles. Because they hint at something here that actually will be explained in Secret Empire. Where it revealed via Vision that Miles would kill Captain America by impaling him on a spike in the cap of the building. And by the way, as a matter of fact, at the end of issue 7, he actually goes to the U.S. Capitol. He doesn't even kill Cap. Nope. Also, fun factoid. One of the fights that happens between Spider-Man and Venom. Agent Venom, mind you. And apparently this was used as a cover for one of the issues of the Miles Morales Spider book by Bendis. Yes, despite the fact he wasn't really in the book at all. Now, they bring up that Miles' bad history with symbiotes. Well, that's mainly... Now, my only guess is the reason why Bendis wrote that in there is because he wrote in the story where Miles' mother was killed by the Ultimate version of Venom. Though she's alive somehow. Yeah, Bendis never explained how the heck she's alive. Or the fact she has a baby, she has a second child now. Well, that was... The second child thing was done by the Accelerator. Bendis never bothered to explain her resurrection or why the heck that the supporting cast from the Ultimate version of Spider-Man is actually in this book. Though the Ultimate version of Katie Bishop is not here. Shockingly enough. Yep. Yeah, and then we have, like, during the fight, we have the Guardians here. Yeah, this is actually explaining the Guardians tie-in of why the heck they're here. It's almost like when you read this, you gotta read the tie-ins. You can't just read the main miniseries. You have to read all the tie-ins. Like, you want to know how the Guardians got here or when it got here? Read the Guardians tie-in. But in the case of Spider-Man, why he left, well, there's no explanation of why he left the book. Yeah. Though in the final issue of the series, we have Iron Man in a War Machine suit fighting Carol, and then Carol, this happens in a pencil machine, mind you, where she punched out so hard in Tony that knocks him into a coma. Yes, knocks him into a coma. And also revealing that after when they were basically examining him, he apparently was experimenting on himself for reasons. I'm not really sure why. Yep. And surprisingly, the Omega issue is not in here. Well, for good reason, because it's not written by Bendis, it's written by Nick Spencer. And the whole point of that book is to Secret Empire. Though the book itself seems like a mirror of what happened in Civil War 1. Where in Civil War 1 we have Iron Man sitting next to the body of Captain America. And in that book, it's Captain America sitting next to the comatose body of Tony Stark. And that book was basically prelude to Secret Empire. That's simply put what it was. When it case this book overall, it's got good artwork. I think the writing here is definitely a lot better. And it's not terrible per se. Is it better than Civil War 1? Yes. Definitely is a heck of a lot better. For one thing, the critics actually agree with it. Yes, agree my opinion, because the reception was mixed, but wasn't polarizing as it was for Civil War 1. At least there's not a law involved. Oh, in case you're curious though, like, in the case of Hawkeye, like, what was his trial like? Why wasn't the book? Well, they explained that in a tie-in by, I think it was by Charles Shaw who wrote the book. Yeah, they put this, actually it wasn't Charles Shaw, it was Guggenheim. Yeah, Guggenheim threw it into Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it was second volume with Civil War 2 tie-in for that one, which ended that series. Where it was explained that apparently that the judge was so stupid not to allow any evidence in and basically really wanted to throw him guilty. But he was not guilty anyways. Yep. Though what happened to some of these characters afterwards? Well, Spider-Man, nothing. The Guardians of the Galaxy briefly disbanded, though they got brought back by the end of the actual event itself, the actual event of end of Bendis' run, though would have reduced roster. She-Hulk, who basically got knocked in coma by Thanos. She wakes up basically looking gray. Yeah, this is actually expanded upon in the brief She-Hulk series by, well, the same woman who wrote the X-23 series. Margaret D'Amico, I think her name is. Yeah, though they later fixed the whole Gamma big bulky thing in that book, where she turned back from gray back to green. Though she still has the same type of personality she does in the Jason Aaron Avengers book. Iron Man remained in a coma for over a year until the Marvel Legacy hits the Iron Man book where he basically comes out of the coma. Reeve's in this book, and she doesn't do a major part in here, though she then becomes Ironheart after this, and she wears a similar armor to Tony Stark. Carol, believe it or not, actually gets redeemed after this in her own title. Yeah, she gets a lot better writing with her. Sam, despite being on the cover, he doesn't do much anything in the story, so not much happened with him. Now, as what happened with Miles after this book, him, along with the Chameleon Miss Marvel and the same Alexander Nova, who those two play very minor roles in the story, they later left the Avengers and formed the Champions with the Armitage Joe Hulk, Teenage Cyclops, and Vision. Okay, what happened? They mentioned A-Force in here. Okay, what happened with A-Force? They apparently disbanded that panel. Well, apparently because the book was canceled with the story. Yeah, they canceled that book. They canceled Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm trying to think. What other books got canceled because of this? Don't think it was anything else. Now, a lot of the air tie-ins really not much. The only tie-ins you could definitely say that they're important to read along with this book is Uncanny Humans, because it actually picks up where one of the issues leaves off. The Iron Man tie-in, because they apparently it's in that book that Dark Tower, the second Dark Tower, was destroyed by, not by Karnak, but by Triton. He's the Aqua member of the human royal family. Well, you gotta read the Carol Danvers book, obviously. And there's a little bit here with Ultimates, with something that's briefly expanded upon in one issue of Ultimates. Al Ewing himself, it seems as though if you read Ultimates, especially with the Civil War II time for that issue, it seems like he wanted nothing to do with Civil War II. He had no interest at all. He just did it just because it was probably editorial mandate that his book had the tie-ins to the event, despite the fact it had nothing to do with it at all. Also, the Triskelion, which was the base of the Ultimates, was damaged. Now, Ultimates himself, the book itself was relaunched after this particular event, along with Avengers. So was Iron Man. Those two books, all three of them were relaunched. Spider-Man, nothing happened with him at all. Yeah, that's something quite strange about him. Guardians of the Galaxy got relaunched a little bit after this, was immediately. Now, there were a couple series that sparked out of this. Champions, obviously, and Occupy Avengers. Yes, Occupy Avengers sprung out of this. A very brief ongoing series by David Walker. An excellent series that got canceled after 9 issues. For no reason. As far as I can tell, it was the only series that tied in the Second Empire that got canceled. Civil War II had a few series tie-ins that got canceled. Yep. Now, let's see. All the Avengers, this was actually relaunched to simply Avengers. Let's see. Rocket Crew actually ended with this particular book. Power Man Iron Fist ended not long after this. Basically, look at all the tie-ins. Let's see. A-Force ended with this event along with Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the Avengers. All the Wolverine, that lasts for about 24 more issues before ending. But wasn't ending immediately. Captain Marvel was relaunched. Deadpool continued fine. Guardians of the Galaxy was relaunched not long after this. International Iron Man managed to last for 3 more issues when replaced with Infamous Iron Man. Invincible was relaunched. Mockingbird ended with this event. Miss Marvel, move on forward, no problem. New Avengers ended not long after this. That's like 1 issue later. The book was ended, was relaunched as U.S. Avengers. Nova went on, no problem. Nova actually was relaunched after this. Patsy Walker Hellcat managed to continue on for a little while. Power Man Iron Fist managed to last for about 4 more issues before getting canceled. Rocket Who and Groot this book actually ended this event. Scarlet Witch managed to last about 6 more issues before getting ending. Spider-Man went out, no problem. Along with Spider-Man. Spider-Woman ended not long after this. I'd say within 6 months. Squadron Supreme actually ended with this event. Yep, it did. Thunderbolts ended 7 issues later. Totally Awesome Hulk managed to last for a little more year before ending. Ultimates relaunch. Uncanny Avengers managed to last for about 14 more issues before ending. Uncanny Humans, about 9 more issues. And Venom Space Knight, about 3 more issues before ending. Yep. What rating do I give Civil War 2? I'm going to give this now. House might give that one 9.5 because that was a really good book. This book, despite getting mixed, I'm going to give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. Because, like I said, it's better than Civil War 1. I think anybody would agree with me about that. Yeah. I mean, if you want to think of one group who took no part in the story, is the X-Men. Yeah. They actually had times this, and they did nothing. They're not even in the main. They're barely in the story. Well, there's at one point that the Ulysses was taken by Nightcrawler, but they play a very tiny role in the story. Just like Civil War 1, they barely play a role. Yeah. I'm trying to think what it was. Oh yeah, what happened to Ulysses after this? Well, he went off to space to be with eternity, and that's it. Ulysses was never seen again after this, and you know the strange thing is, no one bothered to explain what the heck happened to him. In book, no one even notices him leaving. He just left. Now, there was a time for him in this event. Oh yes, there was. A 3-issue miniseries by Al Ewing, which was a digital book for some reason. Yeah, one thing you can say is positive about this story is that we had the first book by Matthew Rosenberg. Yes, Civil War II Kingpin was in fact his first book he ever wrote for Marvel. Yep. We also had the Gods of War, which that was really good. Yeah, I would say of the tie-ins, once they had the Q's, really good story. Civil War II Amazing Experiment was okay. Choosing Sides, not much opinion on that one. Fallen, that was very good. Well handled by Greg Pak. I think they maybe collected one of Totally Awesome books. Gods of War, excellent. Civil War II Kingpin, good. Didn't like the artwork. The Oath, that was kind of the end of the event. Ulysses was nothing much to talk about. Civil War II X-Men, pretty good book. Actually better than the main book. Oh yeah, it's actually much better than the main book itself. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my review for Black Clover. And I haven't announced about that one. Especially since the announcement released just today. I'm going to do that next. And then I'm going to do another comic corner, okay? Just next video. Bye.